The first property in this story is a modest duplex. The family lives in one side and rents the other. And in year one, the property loses money. So how does that become a real estate portfolio worth more than $10 million? By the end, the family owns more than $10 million in real estate and owes nearly $6 million against it. That sounds either brilliant or terrifying, depending on which number you hear first. But neither number tells us whether the plan worked. The better question is this. After the properties pay their expenses, and after the lenders collect their mortgage payments, is anything left for the family? As it turns out, yes, quite a bit. But reaching that point takes 23 years, several difficult decisions, more than $500,000 in household contributions, and one deal that barely survives underwriting. This is an illustrative composite, not one actual family. The people are fictional. The financing, historical conditions, transaction mechanics, and timeline are modeled from real-world data and transparent assumptions. Throughout the story, keep four things separate: property value, debt, equity, and cash flow. A large portfolio can contain all four. Now, let us return to that duplex. It is 2002. They have ordinary jobs, no inherited property, no family fortune, and no outside investor writing a check. They buy the duplex for $150,000. They put $18,000 down, pay about $3,000 in acquisition costs, and keep another $5,000 for early losses and surprises. That is what from scratch means here. No pre-existing portfolio and no wealthy backer, but not zero income, savings, or credit. In year one, the duplex produces $9,000 in net operating income against just over $10,000 in debt payments. It loses approximately $1,012, about $84 per month. Not pleasant, but not a financial apocalypse either. Negative cash flow is a warning. The property must improve, and the family needs enough cash to carry the shortfall while it does. In this model, net operating income grows about 3.7% annually. That is a load-bearing assumption, not a promise. The duplex reaches approximately break-even in 2005. By 2016, it produces about $413 per month after modeled property expenses and debt service. No one is retiring on $413, but the direction has changed. The family is no longer feeding the duplex every month. The duplex is making a modest contribution of its own. Still, it does not fund the next purchase. In 2006, savings from their jobs helped buy a 4-unit property for $280,000, with $70,000 down. The question is no longer, can the duplex survive? It is, can ordinary paychecks create enough momentum for the properties eventually to carry the plan? The model assumes the household contributes about $30,000 per year from 2003 through 2019. That is $2,500 every month, and roughly $500,000 across that period. This is not presented as typical. It is one of the main reasons the path works. Early in the story, real estate is not buying their freedom. Their labor is buying the real estate. Then the housing market collapses. They own 2 small properties, both thin on margin. They are not positioned to celebrate the crash. They are positioned to survive it. Between 2009 and 2011, they buy 3 distressed houses for a combined $270,000. They put $67,500 down, finance the balance, and invest another $30,000 in repairs. Does buying into the collapse produce breathing room? Yes. The houses generate $16,200 in net operating income against $12,600 in debt service. That leaves approximately $300 per month before household income taxes. $300 will not buy a yacht. It may pay a utility bill, replenish a repair reserve, or help the family sleep better. In 2013, they buy an 8-unit building for $580,000. It produces about $46,000 in net operating income against $30,000 in debt service, a margin of approximately $1,300 per month. Now momentum is visible, and then they buy nothing for 4 years. Quiet years look empty on a spreadsheet. In real life, saving $2,500 every month may mean keeping a car longer, postponing a major purchase, or sending a raise into savings instead of lifestyle. Those are examples, not invented facts about this fictional family, but they show the human weight hidden inside one spreadsheet line. During those years, loans amortize, cash accumulates, property income strengthens, and restraint becomes part of the capital stack. By 2017, meaningful equity is trapped inside several small properties. The family sells the duplex, the 4-unit, the 3-house portfolio, and the 8-unit, 6 physical properties, and uses a Section 1031 exchange. A 1031 exchange does not erase tax. It may defer recognizing gain when qualifying investment or business real property is exchanged for qualifying like-kind real property. In a deferred exchange, the replacement property generally must be identified within 45 days and received within 180 days, or by the applicable tax return deadline if earlier. Not every property, taxpayer, or transaction qualifies. This is financial education, not individual tax or legal advice. The holdings sell for just under $1.8 million. After selling costs, loan payoffs, and a qualified intermediary fee, approximately $844,000 in exchange equity remains. The exchange does not create that equity. It reorganizes what 15 years of saving, operations, loan reduction, and appreciation have built. The equity supplies the full down payment on a 24-unit property priced at $3.4 million. And now the income changes scale too. In its acquisition year, the 24-unit produces approximately $75,700 in modeled annual cash flow after property operating expenses and debt service. That is about $6,310 per month before household income taxes. The family has crossed an important line. In the beginning, their jobs supported the properties. Now one property is producing enough income to change the family budget, supplement a salary, strengthen reserves, accelerate savings, or finance another opportunity. The family has learned how to move equity. Now it is learning what scale can do to cash flow. In 2019, they refinanced the 24-unit. A larger loan pays off the old loan and releases about $60,000 in net cash. Added to accumulated savings and operating cash, they have just under $500,000 available. That money buys a 12-unit building for just under $1.9 million. But refinance proceeds are not profit falling from the sky. The 24-unit now carries more debt. The refinance accelerates the plan, but plants a larger loan payoff inside the next exchange. Even after the refinance, the property's modeled cash flow grows from approximately $7,200 per month in 2019 to about $8,900 per month in 2021. This is what the headline cannot show. The family is accumulating equity and receiving increasing recurring income. The properties are becoming an operating business. In 2022, the 24-unit is sold through another Section 1031 exchange for just over $4.5 million. After selling costs and the larger loan payoff, approximately $2 million in exchange equity survives. All of it becomes the down payment on a 44-unit property worth just under $7 million. This transaction concentrates years of progress inside the largest loan, the largest property, and the thinnest underwriting margin yet. And bringing $2 million in equity still does not guarantee financing. The lender must determine whether the property's income can cover its debt payment. That relationship is the debt service coverage ratio, or DSCR. This model uses a 1.20 threshold. The 44-unit reaches 1.23. Barely. The equity gets them to the table. Property income gets them through the door. Reduce underwritten annual income by only 5%, and DSCR falls to approximately 1.17, below the modeled threshold. The loan could be reduced, restructured, or denied. The modeled loan also carries a 6% interest rate on the largest, newest, and most leveraged property in the portfolio. That is the honest reading of 1.23. They make it, but with very little room for a bad first year. Now we can answer the opening question. After 23 years, 7 major acquisition stages, 2 exchanges, 1 refinance, years without buying, and more than $500,000 in household contributions, what do they own? In 2025, the portfolio's gross property value is $10,147,935. Remaining debt is $5,844,958. Estimated property equity is $4,302,000. $977, and approximately $914,000 remains as accumulated unspent household cash. That liquidity gives the family room to absorb trouble. But what does the portfolio produce? In 2025, the 12-unit and 44-unit properties generate approximately $685,000 in combined net operating income. That is after the model's ordinary property operating expenses, including property taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, and expected vacancy. After approximately $483,000 in scheduled annual mortgage payments, the family retains about $202,300 in modeled property cash flow. That is approximately $16,858 per month, after modeled property expenses and debt service but before household income taxes. So yes, the portfolio may provide enough for an extra latte. And if the family searches beneath the car seats for a little loose change, the remaining $16,000 might even cover a pack of gum. In other words, this is not merely paper wealth. It is an income-producing enterprise. The family should not treat every remaining dollar as spending money. Suppose it retains another 10%, approximately $1,686 per month, for major replacements, unexpected repairs, and added protection. Then suppose it reserves approximately $3,500 per month for federal and Missouri income taxes. The actual tax result could be higher or lower. Depreciation, mortgage interest, other household income, passive activity rules, and ownership structure all affect taxable income. This is an illustration, not a personal tax projection. But after those two allowances, approximately $11,672 per month could remain available to the family. That may replace a salary, strengthen retirement, or finance future investments. Or it may give the family something it did not possess in 2002, choice. From $84 a month lost on that first duplex to nearly $17,000 a month by 2025, that's the arc of 23 years of discipline. At first, the family supports the properties. Eventually, the properties become capable of supporting the family. That is the transformation. This is not $10 million in spendable cash, but neither is it merely $5.8 million of debt. It is approximately $4.3 million in estimated equity, more than $900,000 in accumulated unspent cash, and a portfolio producing nearly $17,000 per month after modeled property expenses and mortgage payments. The debt is real. So are the income, equity, liquidity, and choices the family created. And what if they simply keep the 12-unit and 44-unit properties for another 7 years? If net operating income continues growing at the model's assumed rate, capitalization rates remain unchanged, and the existing loans continue amortizing, then by 2032, the 30-year mark, the portfolio could be worth approximately $13.1 million. Debt could decline to approximately $4.7 million. Estimated equity could reach approximately $8.4 million, and property cash flow could approach $33,000 per month before household income taxes. That is a projection, not a promise. Economic conditions, property performance, taxes, capital expenditures, and financing could change the outcome. But it demonstrates something important. At year 23, the portfolio's work may be far from finished. This outcome is not presented as typical, automatic, or guaranteed. It is a historically grounded illustration of what disciplined saving, patient ownership, improving operations, carefully managed leverage, and risk can potentially build over time. Possible and typical are different claims, but possible is still worth understanding. What would nearly $17,000 in monthly property cash flow change for your family? Tell me in the comments. And subscribe for financial stories that show both the opportunity and the numbers behind it.